Hello and welcome to the multi-level health information modeling tutorial series.
Let's now compare the three different multi-level modeling approaches that are available nowadays. There are three models: the OpenEHR specifications, the MLHIM specifications, and the ISO 13606 standards. The approach for the OpenEHR specifications is what I call the maximalist approach, because it defines a reference model that has the maximum number of classes that can be thought to develop electronic medical records. And the domain models, the OpenEHR archetypes, are defined as maximal data models for a given concept. The MLHIM approach is what I call minimalist approach, because there are in the reference model there is this minimum amount of classes that are required to develop any kind of healthcare application, but not that minimalistic, not exaggerated in being minimalistic to turn the reference model into a programming language. In the 3606 standard, what I see is a reductionist approach, because so many classes were eliminated from the original OpenEHR reference model that there is no a set of reference model classes that can define any type of healthcare application. What's the residual context in the reference model for those three approaches? In OpenEHR, the context that is residual in the reference model is intense, because a fairly good proportion of the classes are related to the development specifically of electronic medical records, and that's something that is reflected on the reference model. The residual context in MLHIM is minimal. We reduced the context inside the reference model classes to the minimum that is required to avoid that the reference model is a programming language. I mean, in the way that the classes still have function, structure, and attributes, and everything that is required to give functionality to any kind of healthcare application. And in 3606, even the approach being reductionist, because the reference model is not comprehensive enough to allow the development of healthcare applications based on 3606, the residual context in the reference model classes is intermediate if you compare the OpenEHR and the MLHIM approach. How is the data model for those approaches? In OpenEHR archetypes are defined as maximum data models for a given concept. What does that mean? That means that an OpenEHR archetype should be completely comprehensive and should collect all the elements, all the variables that are related to a certain healthcare concept. Which means that, and this is something that is expressed in the archetype definition language, that only one archetype is allowed for each concept in healthcare. In MLHIM, the data model can be of any size. It can be smaller than a concept. You can divide a concept and make more than one CCD with this for a given concept. It can be a maximal data model or something close to that, because we know that it's difficult to have a maximal data model for any concept in medicine because of the Cavallini-Cook conjecture that states that consensus between healthcare experts is difficult to achieve, if not impossible. And so, and you can have data models in MLHIM that are bigger than one specific concept in healthcare. You can have more than one concept being modeled in the MLHIM data models. And again, in 13606, once again, although the reference model is reductionist, what happens is that they still use archetypes, and they use the archetypes with the same principles of the OpenEHR archetypes. So again, the 3606 archetypes should be expressed as maximal data models for a given concept. So this univocal relationship between the concept and the archetype, the archetype and the concept is an intrinsic part of the OpenEHR specifications and the 13606 standards. What are the possible implementations given those characteristics of those three approaches? The possible implementations of the OpenEHR specifications are electronic medical records for hospital and clinics. The way that the classes are interconnected in the OpenEHR specifications, you can't ensure semantic interoperability without implementing in software the complete reference model. And the complete reference model in OpenEHR is very robust, as a maximum number of classes with a lot of residual context. This residual context is related to electronic medical records, which means that small purpose specific applications to be run in biomedical devices, and this other area of the ecosystem of healthcare applications is very likely to be not possible to be implemented in the OpenEHR specifications. In MLHIM, that doesn't happen. The minimalist approach of the reference model and the fact that data models can be of any size and there is just a minimal residual context in the reference model allows the develop of any type of biomedical applications or electronic medical records or medium-sized applications, and the purpose of the applications or the hardware that will support the application is not restricted in the MLHIM specifications. And in 13606, as said before, the reference model is so reduced and the number of classes is not comprehensive enough to allow the development of any type of healthcare application. You cannot persist data based on the 13606 standards. So the only thing that is allowed is the message exchange between systems. Regarding knowledge modeling for those three models, OpenEHR, MLHIM, and ISO 13606, the structure of knowledge modeling of OpenEHR is the archetype that was mentioned before. In MLHIM, knowledge modeling is made in computational artifacts expressed as concept constraint definitions. And again, in 13606, the knowledge modeling is made with archetypes. The language used to express those knowledge modeling artifacts are, for archetypes, the archetype definition language. The archetype definition language, or ADL, is a domain-specific language that was developed in the OpenEHR specifications in order to express the constraints on the OpenEHR reference model. So it is specific to the OpenEHR specifications and the 13606 specifications, as we're gonna show it. But remember that the reference models of those two approaches are different. In MLHIM, we learned that ADL is being a domain-specific language, which means that it's not taught in any computer science college and is not taught in medical science colleges as well. So the only way for you to learn ADL is studying the OpenEHR specifications, and that brings an additional learning curve to the implementation of OpenEHR based applications. So we decided to use industry standards, and the constraints to the reference model in MLHIM are expressed in XML schemas. And again, in 13606, as said before, ADL again is used as the language to express the knowledge modeling. The number of structures per concept, as we said before, since in OpenEHR the archetypes are the maximum data model for a given concept, there is this biunivocal relationship between the concept and the archetype, the archetype and the concept. So only one archetype is allowed for each concept. In MLHIM, you can have as many CCDs for a given concept or parts of the concept as you want, because the CCDs are identified by UUIDs, Universal Unique Identifiers. So that even if you have two different CCDs for the same concept, since they are based on the same reference model, you can exchange that information from one side to the other. And the information of both CCDs will still be valid. And again, in 13606, it's the same as the OpenEHR specifications. You can have only one archetype per concept. That means that the governance model of OpenEHR is top-down. Everything must be centralized because there is only one archetype that can be allowed for each concept in healthcare. And since this maximal data model should be modeled, that means that it must some type of consensus must happen between all the experts involved in a certain area of expertise in medicine or in other healthcare professional, in order to allow the publication of a final version of an archetype. In MLHIM, since you can have any number of CCDs for a given concept, this governance model is bottom up, so any expert can build his or her own CCDs, and if they are good data models for a given concept or for a given for a given set of concepts in healthcare, they will be more used and reused, and so the best CCDs will flow to the top. And so the governance model in MLHIM is based on merit. And again, in 13606 is the same top-down consensus-based governance model. So thank you for your attention.